So now we look at the structural diversity, a framework to critically comparing the welfare states. There are three broad approaches to comparing the welfare states, which are useful for critical comparison. Critical comparison means that we don't think that social welfare states are all good. We analyze them and see whether each of their working or each of their actions or policies are for the good of the majority of the people, rather than accepting without thinking that they are good. Social welfare policies are good. So the three broad approaches are functionalism, path dependency, and regime analysis. So functionalism suggests that there is a strong socio-economic forces or structures that control the development of welfare states. So welfare states are controlled by structures, and these forces are generally hostile to social justice and equality. And some of these forces are class, patriarchy, and racial supremacy. Path dependency, as we have discussed in the last module, is based on the idea that history is important. So welfare states are formed because of the fact of particular competition between different societal, institutional, and historical forces in different societies. And so if we look at the history of social welfare in Britain, we will see the forces of labor rights, forces of gender rights, and other forces for children rights. So all these forces force the government to come up with this social welfare regime. A regime analysis or a power resources approach falls somewhere between them, because it differentiates between different models of welfare capitalism. Structural diversity means critical comparison of welfare states drawing on the three approaches. The important thing is that welfare states have come into being to mitigate the effect of the structures. Structures control, and structures are usually socially unjust, like, for example, structures of class, gender, and race. And welfare states try to decrease their power, mitigate their effect on the people. So if we look at the key concepts in forming the structured diversity approach, these are class, gender, and race. So if you look at the class, the power structure is capitalism. Movement against this power structure is labor movement. Critical perspective is socialism. And the critical social policy process is commodification. In case of gender, the power structure is patriarchal. What moving against this structure is women's movement, feminism. The social policy principle is family, and how to deal with this is atomization and familization. The last one, race, it's based on imperialism, white supremacism. The movement that is moved against it is anti-racism, anti-colonialism, and cosmopolitanism. And the critical social processes that keep it in place are institutional racism. Some scholars feel that racism and gender and class are no longer there, are dealt with, and now we have to move forward. But these structures are important, even in advanced countries. What to say of developing countries? Class is now we discuss the first important area in structural diversity. Class is difficult to define, unlike race or gender, which are more clear than, for example, class. And of course, people are not ready to discuss class, because it is linked with Marxism, it is linked with communism, it is linked with violent takeover of government by some workers or leader of workers. So you will not find many laws related to class domination. Many policies try to ameliorate the effect of the class domination. But class is important in academic research. Different, but there are different meanings of class analysis. So class can be, a broad group of poor and lower income people, or it can be the structure, which is the structured socioeconomic inequality. Income class is based on income inequality. So if you look at this table, it shows the Gini coefficient of income inequality after tax benefits and value of public services. We see that most of the Nordic countries are on the top, and then we have the European countries, and at the lower end we have the liberal states like the US and United Kingdom, and even below we have countries like Turkey and Mexico. So this is based on OECD countries. So this shows that income inequality is still there, and over the years class has become less important as countries move away from progressive taxation. And so progressive taxation and welfare benefits are linked, because if you don't have progressive taxation, the state doesn't have the money to pay for the extensive welfare state. So countries that do have progressive taxation, 20-30%, 40% even of tax rate, they have more extensive, at least in Europe, more extensive welfare state than the others. During the last 40 years, there is movement is from away from welfare state, as we have seen in many previous modules. Thank you.